Hey everyone, my name is Kendra Ferguson. Thank you so much for joining my live today. We're going to talk all about how to plan for 2022 realistically. I'm really excited about 2022, both for my own business and the businesses of all of my clients, and for those of you in this group. I think that 2022 holds so much potential for people that are working in the construction industry, and I want to do my very best to help enable anyone that I'm connected with to have really profitable, successful 2022s. So I have a series of questions I want to take you through as we are considering how we're going to plan for 2022. And first, let me say thank you for joining. If you are joining me live or on the replay, drop a comment. Let me know where you're from, and maybe a comment about the thing that you're most excited about for 2022. I just want to see where you guys are all coming from. And it sounds like my dog is being a little on the misbehaving side. So if you hear some whining and howling while we're doing the video, that's just my hound dog who is driving us crazy because he's recovering from knee surgery a few weeks ago, and he is so bored. So he's having to spend quite a bit of time being completely restricted from activity, and he's had enough of it, and I've had enough of it. So that is also why this lovely other side dog kennel is in my office. He's been joining a lot of my client calls the last few weeks. So anyways, I will go ahead and get back to the topic for today. So I want to take you through the process that I actually did with my own business for kind of analyzing 2021. And I went through a series of questions, thinking about what really went well in my business in 2021. I do this for both my business and as well as my life in general, just to get an idea of what I really liked about 2021 and I want more of, and what I didn't like about 2021, and thinking about how I can make changes in that in those areas to either get rid of them or make them easier to deal with, or just not focus on those things. So let me go ahead and start with the first question. So the first question is, what one word do you think best describes your 2021 experience? And you can type that into the chat if you want to, or you can also just grab a journal, grab a piece of paper, open up a Word document and just start typing some of the answers to these questions. There's actually something I might do afterwards. If you all want it, I can put all these questions into a Word document or a Google Doc and share that with you, so you can easily fill this out if you're watching on the replay. So I'll do that, and I'll put a link in the comments later on for that. But you can feel free to drop your answers into the chat. So what one word best describes your 2021 experience? Maybe it was chaotic. I think that would be the answer for a lot of people. 2021 certainly was interesting for a lot of us, particularly in the construction industry with inflation, just crazy things happening in 2021. But maybe your 2021 was great and you had such a great time. Just come up with that one word that describes your experience in 2021. Let's see, the next question is, what do you think was the smartest decision that you made in 2021? And that could be anywhere from you hired this one person who was just incredible and is really helping you grow your business, or maybe you decided to stop doing a certain thing. Those are just a couple examples. So what was the smartest decision that you made in 2021? I'll give a few seconds for those that are on to think about it. So write down your smartest decision that you made in 2021, and we'll go ahead and move on. So we make smart decisions, but we all make mistakes as well. So the next question is, what do you think was the biggest mistake that you made in 2021? That could be anywhere from letting go of someone that you really shouldn't have let go of, or not letting go of someone as soon as you realize that you should have done that. Of course, hiring is such a consistent problem within the construction industry and across industries in the United States these days. It's just a really crazy time to try to be hiring anyone, particularly in the trades. It's so difficult. That's not news to you. You all know this. But there are there are lots of areas you could also be making mistakes. Maybe you didn't stay on top of your financial situation in 2021. Just come up with, what do you think was the biggest mistake that you made during the last year? I'll go ahead and move on to the next question. So what do you think was the greatest lesson that you learned in 2021? With those mistakes, there's always lessons to be learned that we make throughout the year. So what do you think was the greatest lesson that you learned for 2021? And feel free to pop these into the chat as you're thinking about it. I'll leave a few seconds for you to think about that. So think about your greatest lesson that you learned for 2021. And now we're going to move on to thinking about what's really the biggest piece of unfinished business in your business from 2021. So what did you really want to do in 2021 that you just couldn't make happen, or you just encountered some roadblocks that just prevented you from being able to do something? Maybe you wanted to start looking at providing a new type of service and you just didn't get around to it. What's that biggest piece of unfinished business that is carrying over from 2021 into 2022 that you want to make happen in your business? And then our next question, we've got two more, actually 3 more for 2021. So what do you think was the biggest surprise in 2021? What went extraordinarily well that you thought had no chance of working out? Or what did you think was a sure thing that was going to be such a great move in your business that just didn't end up panning out? What was that biggest surprise in 2021? And start thinking about what you learned from that. Like, why did that not work out in the way you anticipated? If it was kind of a negative surprise, or if something really was a positive surprise and it turned out very well for you and you just weren't anticipating it, why do you think it happened? So I'll give you a few seconds to think about, what do you think your biggest surprise of 2021 is? Moving on from our biggest surprise, this is a really loaded question. So what did you achieve in 2021? Of course, being a CPA and an outsourced CFO for my clients, a lot of my questions are going to center around, what did you achieve financially? So if you don't yet have your 2021 numbers, that's something you definitely need to be working on to wrap up 2021, to finalize your numbers so we can know how you actually ended up doing, both in sales as well as what did you end up bringing home at the end of the day in your net income. Those are all really important key factors as you're analyzing 2021. So just come up with a list of things that you actually achieved. It could be financial. It could be maybe you ended up working how much you intended to work. So if you're working 80 hours a week and you had made a goal to work a little bit less, did you achieve that? This could be anything. This could be multiple things. Just spend a few minutes thinking about what you really achieved in 2021. And our final question, although it's not particularly a question, it's more of an instruction, is to write down anything else that you think is important for you to remember about 2021. So what stood out to you that we haven't already talked about? What just comes up to you when you're thinking about how 2021 went in your business that we haven't written down yet? Just anything else that you think is important as you're looking back on the year as a whole that you want to be able to remember. So I will go ahead and move on, but these are all questions you can go back to. You can go through the replay. I will come up with a Google Doc that I'll share the link for, so you can just have the list of questions and have some space to write your thoughts down as you're watching the replay. But let's go ahead and move into thinking about planning for 2022 realistically. And realistically is the key here, because I have a lot of clients in the past, and I've been guilty of this too, of coming up with, and not, this isn't just business, this is in my personal life as well. I come up with goals for the year that just seem totally unattainable. And it's not that they are unattainable, it's just I came up with a goal that I wanted to do, and I haven't always been great about narrowing that down into the true daily and weekly tasks and action steps and tactics that I need to do to actually make those goals come to fruition. And I've been really bad about that in the past. So I'll say at the beginning, everyone's doing New Year's resolutions, which can be great. But a lot of times we think, maybe I want to lose 50 pounds in a year. And that can feel so overwhelming in the beginning that it almost stops you from getting started, which is not the point of a realistic resolution or a goal. You want to make it to where you are excited about it and you know exactly the things that you're going to need to do to make that goal become a reality. And so the trick that I've come up with and that I've learned after I consume a lot of personal development, coaching, that kind of thing. And what I have found works best is actually, instead of planning out for the year, I just plan by the quarter. So I plan for the next 12 weeks, and I treat that 12 weeks like a year. If you think about it, a year, it can be easy to kind of slack off almost in the beginning of the year, because you can always think, if I have a bad first quarter, I can make up for it in the second, third, or fourth quarter. Or maybe you get to October of a year and you aren't at all on track to meet your financial goals, and you panic and like really work so hard in that last fourth quarter of the year to make it happen. I mean, that's so common in industries, in all industries. A lot of people that have an annual deadline or set an annual budget or annual goal, so much of that work and that production happens at the end of the year, right before that deadline. So the trick of using a 12-week plan instead of an annual plan is you get that deadline 4 times a year instead of just once. So when you're planning out a 12-week plan, you really only have like a week or two that you can afford to underperform based on your tactics that you've developed for your goals. You can't wait a quarter or 2 quarters to realize that you're not on track to meet your annual goal, because that's coming up in less than 12 weeks. So it really encourages me in my own business, and I'm starting to use this with clients as well, to push for really achieving their goals so much harder than you would if you were planning things on an annual basis. So that's my secret. You actually are only going to plan for the next 12 weeks. That's not to say that you can't come up with a forecast or a budget on an annual basis, just to kind of give you an idea of what you could truly achieve. Now, I think that's helpful, because we're all still kind of stuck in this place where we measure ourselves on an annual basis. I mean, that's how we report our income to the IRS. That's how our tax returns are done. We're just all kind of in a habit of reporting our progress on an annual basis. So you can come up with a forecast on an annual basis, just to kind of give you an idea of, will my like net income or the amount of money I'm making in my business be comparable this year based on kind of what I'm planning to do versus next year, or will I be improving it? That's fine to do, but I really want you to focus more on the next 12 weeks instead of the second, third, and fourth quarter of the year, because we just don't know what the second, third, and fourth quarter of the year are going to look like. Your strategies might completely change. So this, if you make an annual forecast kind of by month or by quarter, however you want to do it, that is, that's fine. But I really want you to focus so much more on the next 12 weeks, the first quarter. So I've come up with a little spreadsheet, because this is something that comes up frequently, and something I really like to do with my new clients is help them kind of come up with a little bit of forecast to help them see what's possible in their business. Because I end up bringing on a lot of clients who haven't really worked with someone who helps them not only, make sure that their books are accurate historically in the past, but thinking ahead and kind of planning for what your life, what your business could really look like if we make some incremental improvements in your business. And so I'm actually going to share a little forecasting template that I came up with. And this is a Google Sheets file. So I will also, let me really quick drop the link to this into the comments. Let me do that really quickly for you. Okay, so I have well, it looks like I'm having trouble actually dropping that into the comments using my streaming software. So I will come back and do that and pin that to the top of the comments as you're watching the replay. But let me walk you through really quick how to kind of go through this forecasting template. So I've got 4 tabs on here. The first tab is really the tab I want you to focus on because it is set up for you to kind of plan your next 12 weeks. And this is a very high level analysis. I'm not trying to get into the nitty gritty details in here. You totally can. You can absolutely do that. But I find from a forecasting perspective, it's not incredibly helpful to go into like the line item detail of your profit and loss statement and try to forecast that on a 12-week basis. That's maybe a little bit more helpful to do on an annual basis. But this is high level. This is really good for someone who really hasn't done a lot of planning or forecasting before. All you have to do is enter in amounts into the blue shaded cells in this template. So I've created a cell where you can enter in the start date of your 12-week plan. This is something you can easily copy and just repeat every 12 weeks. And so you can enter in the start date. The end date of your 12-week plan will be automatically calculated for you. And then for each week, you can actually plan, what are my sales I'm shooting for this week? So let's say you're shooting for $10,000 in sales or revenue this week. What are my costs of goods sold going to be? So what is it going to cost me to do the work associated with that revenue? So let's say maybe that's $7,500. And then what are my kind of general and administrative expenses? So let's say maybe that's $1,000 here. So maybe you're netting off $10,000, $1,500. So that would be great. That would add up to that's a 15% on a net income basis is a really respectable net income percentage. These percentages for you are going to be calculated automatically. So you are only touching the blue shaded cells. I'm having a hard time saying that with my Southern accent. So you'll fill that in. You can do that for each week. And then as the weeks are moving along, you can actually track how you're actually performing versus your plan. And it will, on the right side over here, your total will be calculated over here. So you can come up with a total of your estimated sales and your net income for your 12-week plan by populating this. There's another tab as well for like a monthly forecast for an annual forecast by the month. So you could fill it in by each month if you would prefer to do that way. I have another template where you can do it kind of annually, but broken down by quarter. And if you're not wanting to track like your weekly plan on the 12-week basis, this is easily something you could populate for your 12 weeks. So let's say you're planning your next 12 weeks, which is going to end right around the beginning of April. If you started today and you wanted to make, I don't know, $250,000, you add another zero there. In the first quarter of the year, you know, based on your past historical performance, that your cost of goods sold is approximately, I don't know, 75% of your sales. You can easily type that in. And you know that your gross profit margin is approximately 25%. That would be a respectable gross profit margin for certain types of businesses. If you're a larger business, but if you're a smaller business, kind of more of a 1 or 2 person show, then your gross profit margin should be significantly higher than that, just for the sake of comparison's sake. And then you would fill in your general and administrative expenses, and you can do that easily, and that can be your 12-week kind of goal. And then as well, you could just use this annual tab if you just wanted to plan for any, like you could say that this is your annual forecast, but this could be for anything. This could be a week, a month, a year, whatever you wanted it to be. So there's different formats, and you just pick the one that works best for you. And remember that you will fill in the blue shaded cells with just positive numbers, and then everything else will be automatically calculated for you. So I will share this template with you in the comments. And let me know if you're having any questions. It will ask you to automatically make a copy of the sheet when you click the link, and just click make a copy, and then you can do anything that you want with it. So I want to come back after talking about the forecasting template and kind of go through. So as you're working on this forecasting template and you're putting it together based on really essentially your next 12 weeks, your 12-week plan, I want you to think about what are your goals, and I want you to come up with just 1 to 3. And one of those should be your financial goals. So will it be, I want to make $250,000 in the next 12 weeks in sales, or maybe it could also be, I want to net $25,000 in the, like, make it a specific, easily measurable goal that's going to measure your financial performance. And I want you to come up with 1 to 3 of those. Maybe you know that you need to hire a specific person in your business. Maybe you need a new project manager. That can be one of your goals as well, to make sure that it happens in the next 12 weeks and you're not putting it off until the fourth quarter of this year. So come up with the 1 to 3 things that are really going to drive your business forward in the next 12 weeks. What's going to be the biggest top 1 to 3 things that will, if you look back at the beginning of April now to the beginning of June, you can say, wow, I made so much progress in my business. This is exactly what I needed to do. What's going to get you excited about the next 12 weeks? And come up with those 1 to 3 things. And then the next thing we're going to do is, within those 1 to 3 things, is we're going to actually develop weekly tactics to support the achievement of those 1 to 3 goals. So if your plan was to net a certain amount of money in the next 12 weeks, you need to come up with the specific action steps that you know will help you achieve that goal. And so that could be, let's think about some examples. So in my own business, I have a plan for the next 12 weeks. I know exactly how much I want to make. And in order for me to do that, there are specific things I need to do at a minimum weekly to make sure that I'm constantly bringing in new business into my business. So one of those is I need to do a weekly live training to help people get to know me and how I teach, and just feel a more personal connection with me. As opposed to, meeting a generic bookkeeper, accountant. Like, these help me develop a tighter connection with my potential prospects. So it's very important for me to continuously put myself out there, from videos and a training perspective, to bring new business into my business. I know that that's one of the things that drives my revenue. So you need to identify what drives revenue into your business. If you are a little bit of a larger company, and maybe you're not necessarily involved on the sales side anymore, that's not what you're good at. You've got other salespeople who help bring revenue into your business, but you serve your business really well by really helping and encouraging your team. So maybe you need to schedule weekly check-ins with your project managers or your superintendents, and make yourself available to them to clear roadblocks for them. Figure out what's holding them back from helping make sure that you're turning in profitable jobs. And that could be one of your weekly tactics, is schedule a weekly check-in with whoever is important in your business. Maybe over the next 12 weeks, you want to get your financial house in order. So maybe you want to get caught up on your books. Maybe you're behind. That, unfortunately, is how I get a lot of my clients. My clients' books are behind. I help clean them up and bring them up to date. And if that's you, then certainly we should talk about how we can make that happen. But one of your plans could be, and you of course don't have to work with me if you don't want to, but one of your plans could be, I need to seek out 2 or 3 bookkeepers that I'm going to interview to help me get my books caught up. Or I'm going to sit down and dedicate 2 hours a week or whatever it takes to get your books done. And I'm going to do that every single week to make sure that by the end of the next 12 weeks, my books are up to date and I know what my financial situation is. Figuring out what those true weekly tactics or action steps are going to be is going to be so helpful for you to actually achieve your 12-week plan. And those could change. So maybe in the beginning of the 12 weeks, you have a weekly action plan that you kind of develop at the beginning of every week. At the end of the week or on Monday of the following week, you sit back, you think about how you did on your week. Did you do all those things you said you were going to do? And let me be clear, this is not your to-do list. This is not every single thing that you have to accomplish. These are the tactics that are truly going to drive your achievement of the goal. So this, for me, like answering emails every day is not on my weekly plan because I have to do that anyways, like that. But that's not necessarily bringing business or helping me achieve my financial goal that I've set for this month. My tactics are doing Facebook Lives weekly, trying to actively use Facebook advertising to grow my audience. That is what really is driving business and will help me truly achieve my financial goal. So you just have to figure out what that is for your business. And when you develop those weekly tactics, again, like we talked about, you will essentially at the beginning of every week come up with the weekly things you're doing. At the end of the week or the following Monday, you're going to sit back and say, did I do all these things from the previous week? And then what do I need to do for the following week? So it's just a weekly thing that you can sit down. You need to schedule dedicated time each week to go over your previous week's plan and develop your next week's plan. And then by the end of the 12 weeks, you're going to be shocked and surprised at how much you've actually accomplished in just 12 weeks instead of waiting until September or October of this year and sitting back and saying, I am not at all on track to where I wanted to be. And how can I make 2022 salvageable, essentially? Like, we don't want to be in that place where we're at the end of the year almost and we're in the boat of trying to figure out and scramble to achieve any kind of goals by the end of the year. We just don't want that. We want to do that on a more frequent basis so that we're constantly forcing ourselves to move forward and implement the things that we know are going to drive our business forward. That's really all I had. I kind of talked about that for way longer than I thought that I would. So feel free to send me any questions if you are thinking about planning your 2022 and you're struggling. Certainly, if you encounter any difficulties with the forecasting template, that I'll drop into the comments. And just let me know kind of where you're struggling or what you're excited about in 2022. And of course, if you need some help, particularly financially, figuring out how to truly move your business forward and become more profitable, that's what I'm great at. That's what I love to do. So send me a DM. We can talk about how I can help you do that, what it's like to work with me. But this kind of planning, coaching, and the last piece of that is accountability. That's what I truly love to do with all of my clients is we develop these plans and then I actually get to be a part of holding them accountable to make sure they're happening. So it helps my clients focus on the things that they need to focus on and really work towards building businesses that they're really proud of and that serve their families well. And that's why I do what I do. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Look for the link to the forecasting template. And here in a little bit, I'll also drop in a link for a Google Doc that has all the questions that we went through for you as well. Thanks, everyone, and I hope you have a fantastic time planning your 2022. I'm wishing everyone so much success, and if you want me to help be a part of that success, just send me a message. Thank you.